get out of here.
We need that assay report.
You don't have to wait. Come on.
There you are, Corporal. Nothing you didn't touch.
He must have put up a whale of a fight while it lasted.
Have you any idea when this could have happened?
Just before we docked, I figure. I was talking to him myself, not 45 minutes before we docked.
Who was he?
He signed the passenger list as Paul Briand. He got on at Port LeBeau.
What is it, Chinook? Briand's.
Anything in it?
This envelope and about $50.
It don't make sense. A man losing his life over that kind of money.
This was no ordinary holdup.
Who's the letter from?
Marie Briand, 142 River Road, right here in Dawson City.
Probably his wife.
Whoever she is, I give a month's pay not to have to break the news.
I know this is very hard on you, Miss Briand, but if we're ever to find out who killed your uncle, we'll have to ask a few questions.
I understand. What would you like to know?
Well, to begin with, was your uncle in the habit of carrying large amounts of money on his person?
No, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, from his last letter, I don't believe he had very much money to carry around.
In that case, can you think of anybody who might benefit now that he's out of the way?
No. He was a stranger in Port LeBeau.
Oh, so he had the gold fever, too?
Nothing could have kept him away when that new vein in the North Star mine was discovered.
He wasn't the only one. There must be 1,000 men prospecting in that territory. Did your uncle have any luck?
A little at first. He bought a claim from a man named Renault, but the vein petered out.
How much money did he lose?
Oh, about $6,000, all he had.
He must have been sure of the claim to invest that kind of money.
He was at first, but in his last letter, he said he was sure he'd been swindled.
Swindled? In what way, Miss Briand?
I don't know, but I do know he was coming here to see you, Inspector.
Could I see that letter, Miss Briand?
Well, that's the strangest part of all. It's gone.
Gone?
This afternoon, when I came back from the services, I found that my house had been ransacked. His letters were gone.
Was there anything else taken?
No, I don't think so.
This is all very peculiar.
I wonder what they could have been after.
Must have had some connection with the letters. You better head up to Port LeBeau and have a look.
Yes, sir. Chinook and I will leave first thing in the morning.
I'd like to go with you.
Well, Miss Briand, aren't you asking for trouble?
Trouble? I don't understand.
Only desperate men kill, Miss Briand. And one more murder wouldn't matter to them. Quite obviously, you have something they need. And I'm afraid they won't hesitate to kill you to get it.
That decides it for me.
Good. I'm glad you changed your mind.
I'm going to Port LeBeau. Those men, whoever they are, will certainly follow me. And that should make your job much easier. I'll meet you at the boat tomorrow morning. Good day, gentlemen.
Women are very strange creatures.
But very necessary.
Yes, sir, they are.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Oh, Chinook. And what do you mean calling in a young lady without a chaperone?
Well, I do.
Corporal Webb. Come on in. What happened to your uniform?
So it was the uniform. Well, that's life. Here I thought it was my engaging personality.
How could any woman resist that uniform? Though I must say, in this case, the personality did have something to do with
Don't
it.
try to apologize. Just say you'll have dinner with me and we'll call the whole thing off.
Delighted, Corporal Webb.
The name's Rod. And would you mind trying to forget that I'm a policeman, at least for the time being?
Of course, but may I ask why?
Well, Could think of a lot of reasons, but let's just say that it'll make my job easier.
I see. You're Rod, I'm Marie, and we're old friends, right?
Right.
Well, that should all make it quite simple, shouldn't it?
I wish it did.
Well, are you ready? I'm starving.
Now, you stay here and earn your keep. Nobody gets in, understand? Better lock this.
Does he really understand you?
I don't know about that, but I do know this. I'd hate to be the stranger that tries to get into this cabin. Did you hear Chinook?
What happened?
Looks like somebody went overboard. We better check with the captain.
But I've never seen so much activity around here.
Gold fever can be pretty contagious.
So I've heard. Well, Dr. Webb, what's your prescription?
Well, I guess the first thing is to get you settled in your uncle's cabin. Where is it?
About 5 miles up the other side of the river near the North Star Mine.
Better get started.
Here we are.
Thanks, Mr. Haynes. The Clay Hotel. Rooms, $10 a night. That's steep even for this part of the country.
With the North Star Mine going full blast, rooms are hard to get.
I had no idea the mine was so big. Look, the Clay Lumber Company. Looks like he owns the trading post, too.
I guess that's what you'd call really getting in on the ground floor. But he's not the only one. Look over here.
Judd Powers, assayer. Look over here. Powers Mining Company. Powers Restaurant.
Between the two of them, they own just about everything around here.
Not quite. That gambling hall looks like it was on its own.
That must be Nan Duval. Uncle Paul mentioned her in one of his letters. Said she ran the only honest place in the Yukon Territory.
Well, honest or not, I never knew anyone to beat the house. Hey, there's a canoe over there for sale. Let's go take a look at it. Well, it's seen better days, but I guess it'll do. Now, where's your friend McClay?
Oh, I don't know, Mr. McClay. He didn't take over until after I left for Dawson City 2 years ago.
Somebody want me?
You McClay?
That's right. What can I do for you?
We'd like to buy this canoe.
Sorry, it's not for sale.
Not for sale.
It's the only canoe around here that's available. We rent it out at $10 a day in advance.
Isn't that a little steep? You can buy a brand new one like this for less than $25 in Dawson City.
Should have thought of that before you came up here. How long will you be needing it?
Just until Miss Briand gets settled.
Did you say Miss Briand?
I'm Paul Briand's niece. I'm going to live in his cabin for a while until we settle his estate.
His estate?
That's right. Paul Briand was murdered 4 days ago just outside Dawson City. Hadn't you heard?
No. News travels slow in this part of the world. I'm sorry, Miss Briand, and you can forget about the rental of the canoe. Paul was a friend of mine.
Thank you, Mr. McClay. You're very kind.
If I can help, just call on me. I know all about Paul's affairs. Are you the attorney?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Rod Webb, an old friend of mine. He came up on the boat with me. He's going to help me get settled.
Well, good luck.
I wonder how they're making out.
My guess is not too well. They look like greenhorns to me.
Why do you say that?
No sourdough at canned for gold in water like that is too calm. They'd do better if they took a hint from the men over there. A stream like that is more likely to cut nuggets loose from the mother lode back in the hills.
Here we are, home sweet home for a while.
Pretty country, all right.
You didn't like McClay, did you?
Why do you say that?
He didn't like you either. He seemed nice enough and anxious to help. Why don't you trust him?
Marie, some people you trust at first meeting and some you don't. I don't trust Clay.
Knowing Uncle Paul as well as he did, he might prove quite helpful.
When that happens, I'll admit I was wrong. Did your uncle ever mention McClay in any of his letters?
No, I don't believe he ever did. That's strange. The door's open.
Looks like you have visitors. Wait here, I'll take a look. Chuck? Come on in, Marie.
Why, this is even worse than what happened to my room in Dawson City.
The handiwork is familiar, all right.
But why would anyone want to do this to me? I haven't even moved in yet.
My guess is they didn't expect anybody to move in. This was probably done right after your uncle left for Dawson City.
And what makes you think that?
If they'd found what they were looking for here, they wouldn't have had to search your uncle's stateroom on the boat. Or your place in Dawson City, for that matter.
Well, that means they still haven't found it, or they wouldn't have broken into my cabin in the boat.
I'm afraid so. And whoever they are, they will keep right on looking, unless we can beat them to the punch.
Supper's ready. How much longer will you be?
Just a few minutes as soon as I get this skin tacked up. Marie, look at this.
To my darling Paul, with love, Nan.
No wonder he mentioned her in his letters.
And what would that prove?
From the looks of this, they were more than just friends.
And the ace makes blackjack. Sorry, gents. Better luck next time.
I don't know how you do it, man. It's the 5th time in a row you've caught an ace.
You know how it is, Sam. Lucky at cards, unlucky at love.
I know. I just heard about Paul. I'm sorry, man.
What is this, a wake or a card game? Let's play.
That's enough, Renault. Want me to take over for a while?
No, thanks. I'll be all right. Pay 20.
Cash me in.
You're not quitting, are you? The game's just getting interesting.
I'm afraid I have to. I'm just about broke.
Since when has that made any difference to the lucky chance? Your credit's still good.
Thanks, Nan, but I've had enough. I figure I'm pulling up stakes anyway.
Why do that? Your luck's bound to break sometime. The North Star's still paying off. That still proves there's plenty of gold to be found.
Maybe so, but how come nobody else has made a decent strike around here?
Could be everybody's been looking in the wrong places. I've got a couple of likely-looking claims I'd let go for a price.
No, thanks. The way I see it, the only real strike around this place, outside of the North Star, that is the lucky chance.
I'll take $100 worth.
These won't last very long. We play $10 a card at this table.
Maybe I'll be lucky. If not, there's more where that came from.
Deal them out. Make it another. You're too lucky for me, Nan. Think I'll try another table.
Suit yourself.
I'll stand pat.
Charlie?
Hit me. That'll do it.
Pay 19.
Pay me. I told you I felt lucky. Cut the cards, double or nothing.
This game is getting a little too rough for me. Fight it out between you, sir.
Your pick.
Beat that. Looks like your luck is still holding. Come into my dressing room where we can talk. Dealer.
Isn't it risky having that safe here in your dressing room? Be mighty tempting for the wrong kind of people. On both counts.
I can take care of myself and the money. Put up your hands.
That's the idea. I thought you brought me here because you had something to say.
I've got plenty to say. But first you're going to answer a few questions.
That's all right with me, but you don't need the gun to make me talk.
I'll decide that. Where did you get that picture?
That's easy. From the man you gave it to, indirectly.
Before or after you killed him?
So you found out about that, too. I'm sorry.
The whole town knows about it by now, and they'll know what to do with the man who stabbed him in the back.
What makes you so sure it was me?
That photograph is all the evidence I want. And it's all the men outside will need. Now start moving before I give you what you deserve.
All right. But you're making a big mistake. Chin up! I'm sorry we had to do that. But this puts us on a more equal footing.
Just what are you trying to prove?
That I didn't kill Paul Briand. His niece Marie and I found that photograph a few hours ago in his cabin. The whole place had been torn apart.
Do you expect me to believe that?
If I didn't, I wouldn't be here. Besides, Port LeBeau is a small place. If you still think I'm guilty after I'm gone, I won't be hard to find.
Keep talking.
You were in love with Paul, weren't you?
That's no secret. Everybody knew we were going to be married when he returned from Dawson City.
I'm sorry about that. But that should be all the more reason for you to try to help find the killer.
I've done that already.
Don't be too sure. I can prove you're wrong by something you said yourself.
I don't believe it.
A few minutes ago, you told me that Paul had been knifed in the back. How did you know that?
I told you, the news is all over town. Ace Morgan, my partner, passed it on to me.
Did he tell you where he got his information?
From Judd Powers, I suppose. What difference does that make?
It could make a lot of difference. Considering the fact that the crime took place outside of Dawson City, 200 miles south of here.
You're overlooking one thing. You came here from Dawson City yourself.
That's right. In fact, I brought the bad news.
I suppose that puts you in the clear?
It should. Because when I told McClay what had happened, I didn't mention the fact that Briand had been knifed in the back. Yet that was in the version you heard.
And what does that prove?
That somewhere along the line, the real details slipped out. And the only one who knew them was the killer. Now, if you still think I'm guilty, pick up that gun and call for help.
Nan, are you in there?
What is it, Ace?
Don't you think it's about time you got that poker game started again?
It's your deal, Nan. Either turn me in now or play along with Marie and me to the limit.
You'd better put this away. I'll be out in a minute.
You can't forget the minuet, the polka, and waltz, for they're the nicest dances that are known. But don't forget the minuet, the polka, and waltz are dances that you cannot do alone. But if you can, you're not at all so round. Just imitate the kangaroo. You kick your toes about, you throw your woes about, and watch the fellows follow you. Show your knees and dimples, please. A bit of this you'll never miss. For if you can, then you can land your man, and maybe he can too.
That's not a bad show. I never expected to see anything like this so far off the beaten track.
Well, we're a lot closer to civilization than you think, ain't Ann?
After all, it only takes one big gold strike to start a rush. The North Star did that. It's running stronger than ever now.
So I heard. You know, I sort of figured on doing a little prospecting myself.
Huh? Well, the more the merrier.
Just as long as some of that pay dirt winds up here at the Lucky Chance.
Don't worry. Paul warned me that most of it would.
Oh, that's funny. I think next to Nan, I knew Paul Briand better than anyone in this territory. I never heard him speak of you.
What's so strange about that? Paul never said of anything unless there was good reason.
Things look a little slow at the roulette table, Nan. Why don't you take over for a while?
Not today, Ace. I'm not quite up to it.
It's all the more reason why you should. You can't sit around here brooding forever. Might take your mind off of a lot of things.
I suppose you're right. I hope to see you again, Rod.
Thanks. I'll be around.
All right, Webb, out with it. What's your game?
My game? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you told Nan, but you didn't fool me for a minute. You never saw Paul Briand in your life.
You're about that?
Sure enough to tell you this. You leave Nan Duval alone. She's been hurt already.
Just where do you cut in on this?
Nan is a very dear friend of mine. So let's just say it's a friendly warning. We don't like strangers who ask too many questions around here.
You mean questions like, why a supposedly smart man like Paul Briand should invest his last dollar in a worthless mine?
That was his business. Paul didn't know a thing about mining. In fact, I even warned him to stay out of the deal.
He must have listened to somebody. Who was it?
Why don't you talk to Judd Powers? He's the only assayer around here.
Thanks, I will. Oh, have a drink on me.
Single O.
Hey, fella. You go on down and guard the canoe. I'm interested in some mining property around here.
What'd you say your name was?
Webb. Ace Morgan said you'd be the logical man for me to see.
Do you mean property in general or some claim in particular?
I was thinking about the claim that used to belong to Paul Briand.
What about Briand's old mine?
I understand he bought it from a man named Renault.
That's right, so he did. For the life of me, I don't know why.
That should be obvious. Evidently, he thought it would assay pretty well.
Briand was a fool. I told him the mine was no good.
You sure about that?
Just what are you driving at?
Let's put it this way. Paul Briand was too smart to sink his last dollar in a mine he knew to be worthless. He must have had a good reason. Maybe I'd like to find out what that reason was.
Come in.
If you got a minute, Nan, I'd like to talk to you.
Sure, Ace, anytime. What's on your mind?
Well, it's about this so-called friend of Paul's. I don't trust him.
What's the matter? He seemed all right to me.
Well, for one thing, he's asking too many questions. And for another, he doesn't seem to want to do much talking about himself.
That's his business.
Well, just the same, I'd feel a lot better if you wouldn't see him again, unless I'm around.
I think I'm the one to decide that.
Hang it all, Nan, it's only for your own good. With Paul gone, I thought maybe the two of us might...
You know how I feel about us, Ace. We're business partners, that's all. If I want to see Rod Webb or anyone else, that's my business.
All right, Nan, if that's the way you feel about it. I've got a good hunch he's not going to be around much longer anyway.
did all right, boy. Pocket off his Mackinac. Well, all right. How's that?
And all we have to go by is this piece of material.
That's it.
He'll need a new one. We could ask Mr. McClay at the trading post to keep his eyes open.
We can't risk that.
Why not?
We don't know whom we can trust. The only thing we can do is to keep our man coming to us. He already thinks I know a lot more about his game than I do. This'll convince him even further.
What's your plan?
Suppose we pay a visit to the North Star mine when the day shift quits work. We'll leave some evidence around to show I've been there.
And what good would that do?
It all depends on how the North Star figures in on all this. Doesn't it seem peculiar to you that it's the only gold mine around here that's producing any gold?
Come to think of it, you're right. But I still don't see how
You will soon enough. Now the next thing is, how do I get inside? The front entrance is much too well guarded.
There used to be another tunnel near the lakefront leading to the main shaft. They used it for ventilation.
That sounds like it's made to order. Where is it?
Come on, I'll show you. I think that's the trail over there. The mine should be about a quarter of a mile inland.
Let's take a look. That's funny.
What's the matter?
No footprints. If the mine's half what it's cracked up to be, this ought to be covered with it.
And I was afraid the tunnel might not be in use anymore.
Chinook! You lead the way. This is it, all right. That lean-to must be for the guard.
I don't see anyone around.
So much the better. You stay here. I'm going in and see if I can't get a few samples of ore.
Was that wise? What if the guard comes back?
I'll have to risk that. But no matter what happens, you keep out of sight.
All right.
Chinook, you stay here with Marie.
Still, Chinook.
Remember what I told you. If Webb shows up, shoot first and ask questions later. That's Webb's dog.
catching up.
Don't worry about him.
He's probably heading straight for Webb. Come on. There he is.
I'm glad that's over. I kept expecting a shot in the back all the way home.
Oh, it was worth the risk. Here, take a look at this ore sample I got from the mine.
Well, it looks like an ordinary piece of white quartz to me. I don't see any traces of gold.
There aren't any. And what's more, that tunnel hasn't been worked in months.
But that's impossible. Everybody knows the North Star mine's going full blast.
That's what they'd like to have you believe. My guess is that every ounce of gold that's come out of the North Star in the last 3 months has been salted.
But why would anyone want to salt their own mine?
To keep the gold rush booming, for one thing. A lot of high-priced equipment and supplies can be unloaded in those sourdoughs. Say nothing of all those worthless claims.
Like Renault did to Uncle Paul. He must be the man we're after.
Well, I'm sure he's mixed up in it, but he's not the one we're after.
Then what about Powers? He was one of the men who tried to stop you at the mine.
I've had him on the list.
Even before this happened today? Why?
Marie, if you were interested in mining property up here, what would be the first thing you'd do?
Get an assay report, I guess.
Right. So would everyone else, including your uncle.
But Powers advised him against the deal. He told you that.
So he said. But if his report was favorable, and I'm inclined to think it was, he's probably mixed up in this too.
But there is no report. Or at least we haven't found it.
No. Neither has anyone else. Not here at the cabin, in your stateroom on the boat, or your own place in Dawson City.
So that's what they've been after.
I'm sure of it. The best way to smoke them out is to make them think we already have it.
And just how is that to be done?
What do you say we give them a taste of their own medicine? I'll need a shotgun and a handful of loose gold.
A handful of gold? You might as well ask for the moon.
I don't know. There's one place in Port LeBeau where they keep a lot of it around.
There ought to be enough in this. I hope I'm doing the right thing by turning it over to you.
We'll find that out soon enough. You know what to do.
I'll spread the word about the card game as soon as you leave.
Good. And remember, not a word of this to anyone.
What about Ace? He'll wonder what happened to the gold.
Stall him off somehow. If things work out, by this time tomorrow, it won't make any difference.
And if they don't?
We'll worry about that when we come to it. Well, one thing more. There's liable to be some trouble at the card game. Just be sure you're on the right side.
You mean yours?
Not this time. That would ruin everything. You back up the opposition.
That sample of gold-bearing quartz should assay at over $100 a ton.
Well, it looks as if the gold's been in this rock forever.
That's the general idea. It's crude, all right, but plenty of greenhorns have been taken in on claims salted like this.
Yes, but will it fool anyone who really knows something about these things?
It's not supposed to.
But I thought...
These so-called samples will tip off the right people we know the mine was sold.
You mean Powers?
Powers and a few others. Ace Morgan, for instance. I still don't know where he fits into the picture.
Seems as if every time we turn around, there's another suspect. I don't like it, Rod. It's too dangerous. You're liable to end up like Uncle Paul.
I hope not. But you're forgetting one thing. Your uncle wasn't expecting trouble. I will be. Stay here, chin up. Keep out of trouble. Sit. Stay.
Well, it looks like the real thing. Of course, I'd have to put it to the usual tests to be able to say for sure.
I figured on that. Go right ahead.
Oh, that's liable to take some time. Here's a set of claim papers. You might as well be filling them out while I work.
Oh, thanks. I think I'll wait for the assay first.
Well, that's taking a mighty big chance. Where will you be in case I finish sooner than I expect?
Well, you might try over at the Lucky Chance. I understand Nan Duval's running a no-limit game today.
I know those no-limit games of Nan's. Better watch your step or you're liable to lose your claim before you have a chance to work it.
Anyone who gambles should be prepared to lose.
All right, gentlemen, high card deals.
Be a little short-handed. I expected a real game.
I did expect Renault and Power. Something must have kept them.
They'll be along any second. If I know those two, they won't miss a game like this.
Let's cut out the chatter and pick a card. The lucky chance to cover any bet you want to make.
There's no need to get sore. I'm only looking for a lot of action. Looks like this is my lucky day.
Come on.
Me too.
I'll raise you 50.
You've been hollering for some action. How much you got left there?
$60.
There's your 50. And $60. Full house. Ace is up.
That's good enough.
Now that this tin horn's out of here, maybe we can play for some real stakes.
Just a minute. I'll show you who's a tin horn.
Gold and white quartz. Where'd you get this?
That's my business. Is my credit good? We'll cut the cards.
Shuffle. It's your move, Tin Horn.
How's that?
Two-bit card sharp. I saw you palm that card.
Anybody else see me palm that card?
I did.
That's a lie. The dirty
Oh,
rat.
that plenty isn't worth it. The Queen of the Yukon stops at Port LeBeau for fuel in a couple of hours. When she leaves, you'd better be on it.
Man, listen to reason. Can't you see this whole thing is just a frame-up?
I can see a lot of things I didn't see before. When you said you were a friend of Paul's, I believed you. I even tried to help you find the man that killed him. And this is the way you pay me back.
You better get out of here, Webb, while you're able to.
All right. But get this. Paul Briand was killed because of what he knew about this crooked setup. I know a lot more than that. It's going to cost plenty to get me to keep my mouth shut.
What do you think he meant by that?
What difference does it make? Are you all right, Ace?
Never mind me. I'm all right.
Let me see that white quartz again.
Give me a rifle.
Where do you think he got it?
I don't know. But I'm sure gonna find out.
Nan, come back! Ace, where are you going?
You keep out of this, Nan. I know what I'm doing.
What do you say we head for Maurice, Chinook? We're going to have company. Chinook? All right, fella. I understand.
Chinook, go on, get up there on those rocks till I call you. Go on.
right, Renault.
Do not get excited, my friend. This is merely a social call. Is that not so, mademoiselle?
Right.
The last time you made a social call, you left part of your Mackinaw behind.
That was a mistake. I was only trying to scare you off.
You should have used a knife, like you did on Paul Briand.
Maybe. But there's still time for that.
Look out behind you,
Rod, look.
The essay report. I'll take that. Grab it. I really ought to thank you, Webb. We never would have found this if you hadn't tried to play hero. You know, you're pretty clever bringing us out in the open like this. But so was Paul Briand, and you know what happened to him.
You see, monsieur, I told you there was still time for this.
You wouldn't dare.
They're in this too far to back out now, Marie.
Take them outside.
I know just the place where they'll never be found.
Good, let's go.
There's a cave up in those rocks. We can seal off the entrance when we're finished.
Can't you go any faster?
Take it easy, Nan. I'm doing the best I can.
He's heading in with his rifle. Hurry, Clint, hurry.
This is far enough.
All right, let's get it over with.
Look, you've got me, Powers. Why don't you let the girl go?
Where? Straight to the Mounties? I couldn't risk that.
No, I guess you couldn't. That would upset the apple cart, wouldn't it? That would be the end of Port Lebeau as a boom town and all your rackets along with it.
Yes, and this way things will just keep right on rolling along the way they have been.
I wouldn't bet on that.
Chuck!
Morgan!
I thought you'd be surprised.
Whose side are you on, anyway?
I told you once before, I was a friend of Paul Briand's.
Shut up! That's enough! That's enough! Marie!
Here, Marie, hang on to this.
Well, Judge, you got a lot of explaining to do.
I don't know what you're talking about. Webb and the dog jumped us when we accused him of taking the ore samples from Renault's mine.
That's a lie. Renault killed Uncle Paul, and they would have killed us, too.
You can't prove that.
Maybe. But you'll never convince a jury that an ass hair wouldn't recognize a phony ore sample when he saw one.
I even spotted that myself. That's why I tangled with you at the Lucky Chance. Paul thought the mine was being salted before I left for Dawson City. The way you acted at the Lucky Chance, I figured you're probably in on the deal.
It's a good thing you did. You and Renault are under arrest for the murder of Paul Briand.
I must warn you that anything you say will be used against you.
Well, I'll admit I was in on this phony gold rush deal, but I had nothing to do with the murder. I told him it was too dangerous.
Somebody else in on it?
That's right, the top man.
All right, we can make a deal. I'll turn state's evidence.
It isn't tough to figure out who gives the order.
I'll save you the trouble. Drop that gun, Ace. Keep that dog back, or he'll get it first.
Clint, you were a friend of Paul's.
Sorry, Nan, but you wouldn't keep out of it. Get over here with the others.
I'm warning you, McClay.
You're in no position to warn anybody. Pick up your gun, Powers.
So you won't make deals, eh?
Thanks, Nan. I'll put these aboard.
How will I know where to reach you, Nan?
She's going to stay with me until she gets settled. The address is 142 River Road, Dawson City.
Well, the Lucky Chance is going to be a lonely place without you.
Maybe you'd better write down that River Road address.
If I felt like you two, I'd sell the Lucky Chance and move
You
to
know,
Dawson.
that's not a bad idea. The settlement will fold up now that the promoters of the phony gold rush are behind bars.
Sold out. Where would I go?
Dawson City is not a bad place to live.
Well, we better get aboard.
You know, Dawson City isn't a bad place to live. The address is...
Yes, we know. 142 River Road. I'll be on the next boat.